I don't waste time, no, I make time. All these people wanna hate, fine, I'ma make mine. While you sitting there complaining, I'll be training. While you sitting there just waiting, I'm creating. Yeah, sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable. Yeah, ready to go, man, lock and load.
Hey guys, welcome back to Steadfast RC. Today on the bench we have the FCX 24 again, and what I'm going to be doing today is putting on these brass portal covers. And see, I got the portal covers for front and rear, and I got the portal housings for the front also, because the stock ones, the screws, are a couple of them are starting to strip out, so went ahead and got the brass portal housings also. So we'll go ahead and put these on the FCX 24 right here, and then we'll take it out and run it and see, because this is going to give us more unsprung weight. Actually, before we put them on, let's weigh the brass pieces themselves. And these are directly from Fair RC, is where I got these. So I got the scale zeroed out. So that's going to give us 132. That's going to give us 13 grams in the rear. And in the front, it will give us 31.5 grams. So definitely going to be a little heavier in the front, which will be okay, I think. Turn that off. So before we put these on, I'm going to weigh the truck stock with my bigger scale here. Wait for it to zero out. Okay, so stock, we're looking at 372 grams. And then with these brass portal covers and housings, 418 grams. So a pretty good jump percentage-wise in the weight. All right, let's get the body and the wheels and tires off this thing and start installing these. Alright guys, so if you haven't messed with your portals before on this rig, I would recommend ordering the steel gears if your truck didn't come with it already, the steel portal gears. And you'll also need a 1.5mm driver in order to do this. So we'll start with the fronts first, since I'm going to be replacing the housing as well as the cover. Take the steering linkage off here. And go ahead and do it on both sides, since we're going to be changing out both sides anyway. So you can just leave your steering linkages hanging there if you want to, or you can pop it off or whatever. I'm just going to leave them here, I think. I don't think they'll be in the way too much. Alright, so after you have your steering linkage taken off, the first step is going to be to take the outer portal covers off. These 4 bolts here, or screws rather. Actually, before you do this, you should go ahead and pop off your hex adapter as well as the pin and set that aside. Those pins are really tiny, so make sure you don't drop those. And I may just end up reusing this hardware and saving the stuff that they sent with the portal covers, just so I have extra, because this hardware is in good shape. Okay, now that your portal cover's off, you can pull out this gear. And there's a little drive pin in there too. You probably won't be able to see very good because I got a ton of grease in here. But you're you'll need some pliers. You're going to have to pull that little pin out, set that right there with your portal gear. And now you can take these top and bottom kingpin screws out, but you have to make sure you take off the portal gear that we just took out and that little drive pin first, or else you won't be able to get the portal housing out, because that drive pin will hold it. All right, so you can see when I pulled that out, the half shaft came out with it. That's fine. That'll just push back in there and line up when we're done. Okay, the half shaft pushes out that way, out of the portal housing. And that's just a bunch of grease on this bearing. And I just did that a while ago, so I'm not going to bother cleaning it off because it's pretty much new grease. And then we're just going to transfer parts from this portal housing over to the new portal housing. This is the brass one. It's kind of hard to tell because it's all black. So I'll just kind of lightly pop this bearing out here. Put it in the new one. Oops. And then this half shaft is going to drop in this direction, just like we took the other one out. Nice and tight machine fit, so that should help so much water getting around it, especially with the grease kind of acting as a seal. So that part's done. We'll do the same thing to our portal cover. Pull the bearing off. Pull the drive pin out for that gear. Then this portal shaft pushes out towards the outside. And then you'll pop these two bearings out lightly. And these are both the same size, so you can't get them mixed up. Put that plastic portal cover aside. Get one of the brass ones. Reinstall the two bearings. Make sure they're seated all the way in there. Then your half shaft, or your portal out drive, is going to go in from the outside. Oop. Grab the bearing there. Then you'll reinstall your drive pin for the bigger portal gear. It's a lot easier if you have these bent needle nose for stuff like this. And like I said, if you don't already have metal portals in your rig, now would be the time to put them in, because you're going to need them eventually. Alright, so we got the bearings and portal gear and the cover. Now we're going to have to install the little, oops, put that back down in there. Now we're going to have to install this really tiny drive pin. Added difficulty with the amount of grease I have on this. You're probably not going to be able to see that in camera because of all the grease, but just get that in the center. Fit the portal gear on it, make sure it's pushed down all the way. And these have plenty of grease on them, so I'm not going to bother putting more grease, just because I did that recently, like I said. And then get the two bearing shafts lined up, or the two shafts lined up in the bearing rather. So actually, quick correction, guys, you can't use the old portal cover hardware. For some reason, they seem to be a little bit different thread pitch, so just use the new ones. I thought they were the same size, but they don't feel like they are. I think the screws are the same size, but they just seem like a little different thread pitch to me. Don't go crazy on these things because they are small screws. You could Loctite these if you want, but I'm not worried about it. I don't think they're going to back out. I would Loctite the kingpin screws though, because those are a lot more likely to back out, but we'll do that when we get to it. Okay, now that we have our front portal unit built with the housing and cover, we can put in the new bushings that these came with for the kingpin screws. And these are going to push in from the inside out, so the flange is on the inside riding against the housing. Just make sure you don't put them in backwards. I'll show you this one. So they go in, the camera will focus. They go in that direction for the top. So the flange for the bushing is going to be riding on the portal cover. This is when you can push your half shaft in to the axle tube and just rotate the portal out drive until you feel it go in. And once you feel it get seated inside the differential, you can go ahead and push that in the rest of the way. And then now you shouldn't be able to rotate it because it's engaged inside the axle. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of Loctite. And I'm just going to put a small amount on all four of these screws right here. Okay, that's not a small amount. I guess I'm going to grab a lot of Loctite and just totally baste all the screws in it, but that'll be okay too. And again, with these, you don't got to go nuts because they're small screws, and especially with the Loctite, that'll help them not back out. All right, make sure your steering is still nice and free, and you shouldn't be able to turn that out drive if you did everything right. As you can see, it's rotating the drive shaft down there. Nice and free, no binding. Now we can do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm not going to video that because it's just flipping it over and doing the same thing again. So I will do that later off camera. And then let's go ahead and do the rear portal just because we're only putting the covers on those. So that'll be nice and simple and easy. And basically the same thing we just did. All right, guys, so we got the front and rear done. Portal housing and cover on front, just portal covers on back. And I'm going to flip it over and do the other side off camera because it's literally the exact same thing. So I'm not going to waste your time by having you watch me do it twice. I'll be right back with you. Alright guys, so I got the portal covers and housing put on the other side. So now all that we got to do is reinstall our steering linkages.